What's happening, fellas? Ken Sr. here on the second floor of the New England Motorcycle Museum. I'm here with a very special guest. We have Billy Ainsworth, back-to-back winner of the Southwick 338 National Motocross 125 All-Star Support Class All-Star Race. Billy also just returned from an epic adventure that can only be described as epic. He actually rode 8,000 miles cross-country on the Trans-American Trail. So, Billy lives here in Columbia, Connecticut. He's a longtime motocross racer. I've known him since he was about 4 years old, racing at NEMA. He's 34 now, so 30 years of racing motorcycles. He's also got a ninth at an AMA National in the pro class. This is his, what's your buddy's name?
It's Granny.
Granny, why do you call him Granny?
Well, she's from Grenada.
She's from Grenada. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. You went riding in Grenada too. So Billy's all over the world. But I really wanted to talk to you today. Hello, Billy. How you doing?
Good.
So I really wanted to talk to you today about this epic adventure that some like it to Forrest Gump's cross-country running there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's easy to do when if you see a picture of me when I did the trip, I had a beard down to here. And obviously I got the long hair, so that's been the joke a little bit. Forrest Gump, Harry and the Hendersons was another one, you know, Harry.
Yeah, I'm going to use that picture as a thumbnail. I already downloaded it off of Facebook.
So, no, Ken's been back for a couple months now from the trip. I mean, I've known Ken my whole life, and I do adventures. He does, as you guys all know, his whole thing. So, this is perfect. I knew Ken would love this story and our trip. But, yeah, the Trans-America Trail, which is like, it's pretty much like a famous trail now in the United States, and the best way to describe it is it's all street legal roads, but this guy Sam in the 70s, 80s, I don't even know, he on a dual sport dirt bike decided he wanted to make a route from the Atlantic to the Pacific, hitting as much dirt road as possible. So it's become like an iconic journey. Dual sport's the most popular way. That's what he did. That's like what it was designed for, but tons of people do it with like Jeeps, mini trucks people do it on, and then all sorts of bikes. So yeah, it's like it's a pretty cool thing. Like anyone you should look it up on YouTube too. Trans-America Trail, TAT they call it, but yeah, it's a big adventure across the whole country.
Well, one of the things that really inspired me to interview about this trip was your choice of rides. You could have ridden anything. You have a brand new 2021 YZ250F. Your dad and your family is as a stable full of bikes. But the bike you chose was a 99 XR400 Honda.
Yeah.
A vintage sort of off-road enduro bike.
Yeah,
They're
right.
not really street legal, but sort of street
It's
legal.
a classic now, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Close to it.
Why'd you choose that particular bike, and how'd that work out? And was this an expensive one, or was it a Craigslist?
This is a Craigslist special.
Yeah.
Found it like that. Got it.
What'd you pay for it, if you don't mind me asking?
What did I pay? $2,400 to $2,200, something like that. It was.
Yeah.
I paid for it. Put a big tank on it.
So a low investment, classic.
Didn't put too much into it. Yeah. In fact, it was both kind of a joke and serious because I did it with 4 buddies, and they all pretty much had brand new bikes.
Yeah.
And them knowing me, you know, I got an XR250 actually. Like a few months before we left, I got an XR250. It was cheap near me, just to get on the road, kind of get riding. And then I saw the XR for sale, and Scott Summers, right? XR.
Oh yeah. Yep.
XR
I love the
legend.
XR250 too. That's a great
So for
bike.
some reason, I've always loved the XRs.
They're
but,
kick-ass.
You know, because I was younger when they were kind of the thing, and everything else is like a novelty for me. So I got the XR400, and I wasn't even dead set on taking that. I was thinking I was going to sell both the XRs and then just get something like a DRZ 400 or something that I knew would be a little more reliable. But an electric start, that was kind of like the funny part about it was I was thinking like, oh man, do I want to kick this thing all the way across the country? Decompression lever, 400. I'm about 145 pounds, so you know, which that ended up being pretty funny too, kicking it all the way across the country. But yeah, I mean, I got that thing kind of half-ass joke. I loved it. I just fell in love with the thing, and I kind of just got over it in my head. I was like, man, I've been kicking dirt bikes my whole life. Electric Start just came out on the moto stuff, 5 years ago. So I said, you know what? Be a man. kick the thing across country. So yeah.
So what kind of prep did you have to do for, and how many miles was the actual adventure?
So the mileage is kind of crazy because it's hard to, like, when we looked into it, at first I was thinking it was going to be about, it's 3,000 to drive across country. So I was reading somewhere in like the 4,500 mile range. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And then we got going and, all of us kind of did our research, and the other guys are saying, no, it's going to be more like mid fives to do this. And I was all stoked because I was like, cool, the more miles the merrier.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing 8 because me and one of my buddies left. The route starts in North Carolina, basically in the Outer Banks, like on the North Carolina shore, and then goes up to Oregon.
Did you actually go to the ocean on the East Coast to start
yeah,
the
we
adventure?
did. Yeah, so
Went right to the ocean, the shoreline.
Me and my buddy Eric, we started in Delaware, just the way it worked out, how we got dropped off, and we rode down the coast, and we met the other 3 guys down in I don't even know what town we're in North Carolina, but we jumped in the ocean. That's how we started it. We all met
That's
at
awesome.
the beach. We jumped in the ocean. I think one of the guys is fully geared up. I'm like, what are you doing?
He's got soggy gear right there.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately I ended up doing, we did, I think the 3 of the guys did probably about just over 7,000 miles. And then Eric and I, who started just a little bit earlier. And then at the end, we had an extra week to play with at the end. So we did the 2 of us did 8,000 miles each.
How'd the old XR hang in there? Any mechanical difficulties or issues?
Well, the joke with the XR is it burned oil like you wouldn't believe. Like, I mean, in hindsight, I should have done some oil rings, a top end, something. Good compression. I did a compression test. It fires up like early. So all the signs of it being a strong engine, XR400, you read up on these things and it's like they're bulletproof.
Yeah.
So, but for whatever reason, it did burn oil. So pretty much every other gas stop, I had to get a quart of oil. And,
how much oil does it hold?
It holds 2 quarts.
So it would burn about half the oil?
I burn, yeah, a lot of oil. Yeah, I probably went through 15
So
quarts.
you always had fresh oil in it though,
I
right?
never changed my oil.
Was the oil nice and clean when you got there? Did it look clean?
It always looked clean.
It was only a day old, that's why.
Yeah.
That might have helped you get there.
It didn't smoke either, which is kind of, funny. You'd think like burning all this oil, some guys behind me would be like, geez, smoking out the place.
Yeah,
but,
it's a 2-stroke.
But it didn't really smoke, visibly. So that was about it. I got a flat tire myself, kind of early on in the trip, which ended up being a nail. So
Rear or front?
that was a rear. Yeah, ended up being a
Did
nail.
you change it on trail side or did you go to?
Yeah, that was So yeah, if we go back then, just to kind of describe it, so I was saying it's all like roads. There's some single trail options in different areas of the country.
Dirt or tar roads?
Mix. It's a mix, yeah. And I don't know what the ratio is, but I know after riding it, it feels to me like you're on more dirt than tar. Yeah. But you go faster on the tar, so time-wise, I think that's what mileage it could be close, but you're on dirt a lot on this trip. So
were you guys going fast and power sliding and stuff, or are we just mainly trying to keep the bikes from blowing up?
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine, right? Expectations, like anyone that's a rider out there, and hey, come on, let's go. She thinks we're not filming here. So
she's doing her job.
You can. So this was a goal really on the trip was. It was like over under 200 miles a day would get us to where we had to be in the amount of time we had to, as a group, get there. So I'm thinking in my head, and I think we all were, like 200 miles, like that's not really that big of a deal. You could jump in a car and go 200 miles in a few hours.
Yeah.
So that was not the case. I mean, the pace is a lot slower, and we're all like motocross, like good riders. Let's go. Barking at Moses. Poor Moses.
Get him. Shake him up. Shake him up. Could be a bike thief.
All right, so back to the pace of the trip. So yeah, like I said, 200 miles was the goal every day, and it all good riders, and it was pretty deceiving because we would start pretty early, and it, we had a group of 5, so you always have someone lingering in the morning.
Yeah.
And, take it forever. No, we'd take our turns, but
Yeah.
it would take us pretty much every day, like most of the day, to get our 200.
Wow.
I mean, we'd do 250, 300-mile days, sometimes whatever it may be, but the journey's that cool. Like the roads that they take you on, like are so many windy roads, so many mountains where you're doing this deal up the mountain. So even as a good rider, you're coming around these corners and you look down and you're going like 12 miles an hour or something. And I'm like, oh wow, we ain't getting anywhere quick at this
No.
But yeah, so that's the thing we weren't expecting. Like one of my buddies packed games. He was like halfway through the trip, he's like, man, I had Yahtzee. I got these games. I figured we'd be at our spot, set up, camped out, and we'd be playing games. He's like, we're not rolling in till late. We're all beat, tired. Get our tent set up and go to bed. So, and that's the cool thing about the journey too is you're so out in the middle of nowhere that you can kind of camp anywhere too for a lot of it. The East Coast is a little bit more fine to campground.
So you don't have to pay for lodging or anything. You just set up.
No. We got some hotels along the way. A couple times when we got stuck in some cold rainstorms. You just wanted a shower after a few days or whatever it might be. But we camped campgrounds. We camped Renegade camping and then some hotels along the way.
Renegade camping. Let's just pull over wherever you want.
Wherever you want, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, what an adventure of a lifetime. Is it something you would do again?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely would do it again. At this point, I want to go out west where the cool shit is, and just kind of do like multi-state, kind of in the heart of it out there. But I would definitely do it again for sure.
So what month and did you start the journey, and how long did it take?
We did it in we basically did it the month of July. We started basically July 1st, and I think it was about 5 weeks. It was kind of one of those deals where it was like maybe the last few days of June, a little bit into August. So it was about 5 weeks for the whole group. And
How many guys went on the trip?
5 of us. Yeah, there was 5 of us that did it. All live around this area, Connecticut, and that's how fired up one of my buddies a year out. Basically, just said, "Hey, we want to do Trans-America Trail." I didn't even know what it was. I said, "Yep, I'm in." And yeah, that's how.
How'd the weather hold out for you?
The weather was good, and that's another thing. It's funny too because I watched some YouTube videos, and my buddies watched YouTube videos, and like my thing was I didn't want to watch too many videos because I didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
And that ain't true. That's not true at all. It's a classic case that you can watch as many videos as you want.
You're not gonna see it all.
You ain't gonna give anything any justice. But weather-wise, we lucked out big time, I think, and we went pretty much the hottest month of the year. So that was a little bit of a concern. Was heat, and man, it was. I'd recommend doing it in the hot summer to people because we really very few times ran into like days where we were just dogged out with heat. Even out west in the desert, it seems like it's so diverse, the trip, that you're hot and then before you know it, you're in a mountain range.
Yeah.
And you're cold. So that was the big thing. Yeah, advice for people if they do it in the summer is I had long john. I mean, there was multiple times I had everything I had on me in the middle of July. It's the middle of July. Like, how'd this happen? But yeah, okay. Basically, I don't know if we had any full rain days. We had a lot of rain. A lot of like, all of a sudden you're going along and boom, it starts raining for 10, 15 minutes. So that was one of the things, jumping in and out of your rain gear. But overall, it was great weather.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where did you actually officially, what was your destination point like in the Trans-America Trail? It starts where and ends where?
It starts...
I guess you can go either direction, west to east or east to west, right?
Yeah, it's kind of designed to go east to west, but yeah, you can go any direction you want. And I'm so bad with names. I forget what beach we even started at in North Carolina. But technically... it starts actually, I think, like Outer Banks, like on an island. Like that would be like the technical start for it. And and then it's Port Orford, Oregon, is where the
That's north of California.
That's that's just southern Oregon on the coast, kind of.
And I heard that when you got there, you rode another 2,000 miles. Where'd you go? Is that true?
No, I mean the extra mileage we put on was two of us, Eric and I, when we all got out to Idaho. We went more north. It's kind of hard to even describe because of how the maps work and how the routes are, but we ended up hitting like another like branch off of the Trans-America Trail that was actually designed to come opposite way we were. So like if you would picture like Salt Lake City's here on a map, like this Salt Lake, Idaho's just north of that, and it kind of like came up and skirted kind of southern Idaho into Oregon, and it was kind of farm fieldy, kind of deserty a little bit. We've been in that through all of Utah. You do a whole big thing. So basically, when we headed west, we just went more north, and it hit another like wing of the Trans-America Trail that actually kind of comes north through the country. It's kind of like a big loop. There's a bunch of ways to do it, but we broke off from the other guys there, so we were about 75% done, and we just had a little more time, me and one of my buddies, and we went into Idaho, and that was worth it big time. Like we went into the mountains. There was crazy hot springs up in Idaho. We were chilling in this hot spring hot tub with literally a waterfall that was probably 3-4 stories high.
Wow.
Coming down into this pool, and it was 102-degree water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
How'd you find that?
That's a cool story because we were in let's see, I don't even know if I should say the town name because you get out in the woods of Idaho. We were out in like the national forest, these little towns, and we stopped in a little town, a little country store to get ice cream, and it was a population like 36 in this town. and it was just super rednecky. Like they all had guns out. Like you walk in a little ice cream shop and there's like an AR-15. The guy's loading here. You go, I'm like, I'm gonna pay for my ice cream. The guy's like loading the magazine with a customer. I'm like, this is sweet, you know. Like this is freedom out here. So one of the local guys was joking with us. He's like, now listen, when you guys get out of here, make sure you tell everyone this Idaho sucks. We're gun-toting rednecks, and it's a terrible area because they're country folk and they want to like protect.
Yeah.
They don't want it to turn into a tourist trap.
Yeah.
So he recommended us to go up to this town. It was a dead-end town about a half hour up from where we were. That's where the hot spring hot tub was.
Yeah.
There was actually a pond that was a good sized pond, probably close to the size of your pond. People probably seen on your YouTube video there.
Yep.
And that thing was like 95 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah. And it had this big Paul Bunyan log floating in it you could go play on. And so, yeah, we won't say what town that is.
We'll get shot next time we go back there.
Yeah, we won't say what town it is. You got to find that one. Yeah, so we put on extra mileage going up into Idaho, and then when we got out to the coast, we went down to Santa Cruz, California.
So you made it the whole way 7,000 miles?
8,000.
8,000 on the. How many tires and chains and sprockets did you go through?
So we started with brand new tires. Everyone started with brand new tires.
Yeah.
And
what brand did you choose?
So I had the Dunlop Dual Sport, which was like a real, like it looked like you'd be happy riding moto with it type of deal. It was like a real knobby tire. And I just figured I'm a knobby guy.
Yeah.
And but we all had similar tires. We all had brand new tires. And when we got to Trinidad, Colorado, there was a shop there that like services stuff for the TAT riders. It was like they were very welcoming. So they didn't stock a lot. They were cool with having people could ship in product tires and all that stuff. So we all did full tires there in Trinidad, Colorado. So, you got to figure the ballpark are halfway. And by the time we got done, those tires were smoked too.
So one set of tires,
two sets
one change halfway through, got you cross country.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So what'd you do with your bike once you got there? I heard you're going back there to get it.
Yeah, it's I'm lucky I had some friends out in Santa Cruz, California. So he was cool enough to let me keep it there. One of my buddies sold his. 3 of the guys shipped them back. And I was kind of like, man, the XR400's value it's half the cost of the bike just to ship it back.
Yeah.
So he was cool. He let me keep it out there. So my thought was maybe I'll just sell it out there, whatever it was. But yeah, I'm going to go back out here in a few weeks and pick it up and continue on.
Are you, are you going to ride it back cross country?
No, I'm gonna ride it to so Santa Cruz is kind of near like San Francisco, south of San Fran. So I'm gonna ride it down through Cali, basically over to Vegas, and then
You should go compete in the Baja 1000 on it.
that's it's in November, I think, too.
It's coming up. If you ever head out now, you'll make it.
One of the guys, Tyler Gagnon, who was in our group, he's done the Baja 1000.
Wow.
And 2 of the other guys who did it, Nick Sheldon and Chuck Goldie, supported him in the Baja 1000, and that's we should get them up here just to tell that story, because the Baja 1000, have you been to that, Ken?
No, but I want to go. It's on the bucket list.
I could see you going to one of those for sure.
Take my XR400 there.
Yeah, because that's a journey, or that's a heck of a journey for those guys.
So if you're going to do this journey over, what would you do? Would you do anything different? Take any different equipment, or would the XR be your did it have a stock seat on it and everything, or?
Stock couch seat on the XR, so that was pretty good. If I did it again, I mean, it'd just be like little things, really, little details with like either luggage. Not a lot would change, but there'd be changes. And I'd have to write it down and kind of go through a checklist at this point to know what I would change. But yeah, there's little things, and like anything, if you do like some kind of long journey, there's the Appalachian Trail, right? Famous hiking trail on the East Coast, and that's basically what I compare this to for motorcycles, dirt bikes, and stuff. Because if people hike the Appalachian Trail, they got their backpack months, they're just hiking up the coast.
Yep.
And this is kind of like that on a bike. You that's the tricky part, is you need all your clothes, all your gear. You need tent, sleeping bag. You need it all. I think I had about 50 pounds of gear on me when I did it, and that's the battle. You don't want a lot of weight on your bike. Say hi, Gran.
So
I'd take her next time, I think.
Yeah, will she ride on the bike with you?
She probably would if I got her to. Yeah. Yeah.
So the next journey that you're taking on the 400, that's coming up pretty soon, right? How far do you think that one will be?
Yeah, that one is classic. My lifestyle, you gotta keep it open.
Yeah.
So my buddy called me up a few weeks ago, and he said that he was driving out to Zion National Park area in Utah, and he's bringing his bike out. My buddy Eric, who I did the trip with, he actually did it on a CRF 250L, which that bike.
Great bike, love them. Yep.
Yeah, which is a great bike. 2 of the guys are on that bike. Great bike, but for sure a little underpowered.
They have 19 horsepower at the crank,
Yeah, a little underpowered by the time you get all geared up, everything else, and then elevation. When you get into Colorado, basically once you get above like 5,000 feet in Colorado, or you might have been a little corner in New Mexico we went through, you don't drop under that until you're basically dropped down onto the coast in Oregon. So 5,000 isn't too bad power wise, but that's like minimum. So as soon as you get up 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 feet, bikes get super doggy. So the 250s were a little weenie for
you need a big bore.
Some of the passes you go through over 10,000, it was like, I think my buddy Chuck at one point was like coming up a dirt road. And I think it just like wouldn't go. He was just like, moo. And you had to like turn around and get a running start, go up like a slope like that.
No power.
But yeah, my buddy Eric, he got back and he's all jazzed up on it all. So he just picked up a KTM 300.
Nice, two-stroke?
Two-stroke, the XCW. Registered it.
Wonder how that'll hold up for that
one,
miles.
Well, we were thinking like two-stroke. Like a lot of people were thinking that's not a good bike for going cross country on the road, but I think it'd be fine, to be honest with you. Especially the new KTMs have an oil injection, so you don't have to. You could just go to the pump in your gas.
Nice.
And that, but yeah, he called me up. He's trailing it out to Zion, and he said, "Hey, fly out, ride that thing down to me, let's go rip around there. It's right near Grand Canyon, all that stuff. So
Wow. So you're gonna
so that
you
I
take the
got I have
XR400 to
800
Grand
miles
Canyon?
to go from Santa Cruz to there. So I'm gonna do that by myself down to him.
You should do a vlog, like a
Meet
YouTube
him.
vlog, and post stuff every day
Yeah,
when you do the trip.
I probably should.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do, yeah. I don't do much with it, but
Well, if you do this trip, you should definitely vlog it with a helmet cam or a GoPro or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people would be interested.
we got a little footage too. I'll try to get over.
So what inspired you to do the adventure?
Well, it was really my friends. You know,
Yeah.
they thought of it, and I mean, it's something I've always wanted to do. Kind of that dual sport, multi-state out west riding. So when he brought it up, I was all in. You know, and honestly, he brought it up, and we were all in. And then I was almost trying to change it a little bit on him. I'm like, hey, why don't we trailhead them all out to like Colorado, and let's spend the same amount of time and just do shit out there. And man, am I glad we didn't do that, because I was thinking I've already seen the East Coast.
Yep.
You know, how exciting can it be? Some of my favorite parts of the whole trip was like Western North Carolina, Tennessee, Northern Georgia, actually, in Tennessee kind of line. We bounced through there, and it was unreal. The mountains and the dirt roads they brought us through in that whole area was literally some of the best in the whole country. Out west, you get bigger views, bigger heights, but yeah, the East Coast, like the whole trip is freaking awesome.
You may have already touched on it, but what were the top 2 or 3 memories from the trip that you think will pass before your eyes in your final moments?
I mean, the first one that pops to mind is our buddy Nick. So we all had two 250s on the trip. I had the 400, and my buddy Ty had a new KTM 500 XCFW, which is like, that's the dream bike. That thing is perfect.
Big bore 4-stroke.
And then Nick had a Yamaha Tenere, which is a twin-cylinder 700.
Yep.
So, so he was kind of like, we'd laugh at him a little bit because it was such a big bike. And we were still in the east. I don't know where we were at the time. Maybe the Tennessee, North Carolina area. And we're coming down, and you know, early in the trip, first weekend or whatever, we turn them off and coast down these long roads and stuff.
That's
right?
pretty cool. Save fuel.
Just save fuel, have fun, whatever.
Yeah. See how fast you can go coasting.
Yeah, exactly. And that thing, he always hauled ass because he had the heavy bike.
Yeah.
So every time we did that, he'd come blowing by us. And we'd be like, "Here he goes." So it was a wet day, and he actually wasn't going crazy at this point. He had already gone crazy a lot with some of this stuff, but it was a sharp left-hand corner, and he caught the paint, washed his front end out, and it was like classic motorcycle accident, right? Like, boom, he's down, and all of a sudden he's sliding, and it was like probably 15-foot plus. Luckily, it wasn't like cliff or anything, but it was grass, weed, like steep hill. And hit the grass. The bike like did a flip and went down the hill.
Man.
He luckily didn't go down the hill, but it was pretty gnarly looking at first. And he was fine, a little road rash. The bike was down, so we had to get ropes. And you know, I could probably try to get that video over to you, because it's all of us like pulling him up, cheering, getting it. So that's one of the first things that pops in my mind.
Wow.
That was kind of like our first like wake up call with like, oh wow, like, you know, can't be too loose here.
This could be dangerous. We could die doing this out in the woods. No medical attention around.
But yeah, I mean, and like I said, we're all good riders. So that was some of the memories are, as always, right? Some of the memories and good memories, ironically, are shit luck. You know, like we always talk about it racing dirt bikes. If you take a hard crash and you're okay, sometimes you're almost like, oh, that was, in a sick way. You're like, that was fun.
Yeah, I'll never forget that one.
Yeah. So that's some of the memories. Like I had one. I had a crash fairly early on too, and that was like we had Cardo headsets, which is another cool thing for people to kind of to do for us, so we could all talk to each other, listen to music, whatever we wanted to do. But especially on the East Coast, where you have a lot of trees and not a lot of openness, they cut out pretty quick. So my crash was, me and a buddy were kind of at the tail end, and they were ahead of us, so we were trying to catch up. So we were kind of cruising pretty good down dirt roads, and I was coming down kind of a left downhill, kind of barren left, and there was a sharp right, which is where our route went. And I obviously wasn't going to make the right. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't have maps, the last two of us. That's why we were trying to go fast. We didn't have our maps.
Yeah.
And my buddy who was ahead of us, he missed it too. He had the map, but he missed it because it came up so quick. So when he turned around to come back, we kind of had one of those, like, in the grocery store, you go, one of these deals when you're walking at somebody.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of a freaky one because I was cooking pretty good, and we played that, and I had to bail off the road through this rock wall.
You thought you were gonna hit,
through this rock
hit him
wall,
head on?
and launched off. I mean, dodging trees. You wouldn't believe. We all looked at it and we were like, "Wow, this is amazing." So I decked it pretty hard on that one, but same thing, got pretty lucky.
Stone wall through trees, and you walked away.
Yeah, walked away. We had a Tyler hit a coyote. This was out west. We were ripping through some sand, kind of deserty stuff, and a coyote just boom came right out on him, like no warning, and he decked. So yeah, some of the memories are falls, obviously, but man, there's the town with the hot springs. It rings a bell. I think you think of when you look back at stuff, the challenging times. Colorado, we got caught in a pretty good rainstorm. It got cold. That was like the one time where I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah, freezing.
This is cold. And then some of the single trail stuff we did, that was really, really fun, and that's something that you can try to describe, but you can't. So Sam made the maps for the TAT, like I told you, and there's another guy, Kevin, who it's basically the same route, but he kind of added on some things, and some of it was single trails. It was like the red trails, we'd call it, because it was red on the map, and it was more advanced trails. And we hit one of those in Colorado. And Ken, I mean, it was like coming down a trail, and then you'd have to turn your bike around this table.
Yeah.
That tight, and like that would literally be like rock and shit. And then like behind that couch was just cliff, and we're like coming around, and there was no nothing to stop you, So
You're dead meat if you
like
fly off
we
the
were
edge.
all getting off our bikes and like helping each other.
Yeah.
Like holy shit, especially our buddy with the tenor.
Yeah.
In fact, that was other memories. And it was like little goat paths. So it was like basically this was the mountain was like this, and the trail was just the classic little like mountain bike trail almost along the edge. And it was all rocky and stuff. So on the Tenere it was hard because with the gear was the hardest thing on the single trail because you have all this weight.
Sure.
So his saddlebags would hit like the edge of the trail on this side, and it actually knocked him off one time. And I mean, his bike went tumbling down literally the side of this mountain. And we were all hauling that thing out, dragging that thing out. That Tenere, literally, we dragged that thing over. He bought like every skid plate and like
Good thing.
protective thing he could have for it.
It came in handy, huh?
That was the best money he ever bought. So single trails out west for like all the off-road riders are the coolest, wildest, scariest things at times.
Yep.
And if you're just riding like you should be with no gear, like really, or no like luggage on your bike, then it's really challenging, cool trails. But when you're loaded up with all the saddlebags and that stuff, it turned us all
Big
into,
gas tanks,
it turned
heavy
us all
gas.
into novices out there. But yeah, that was a really good memory of some of that stuff out in Colorado.
That's cool.
Moab, actually, that was.
Moab, did you go up to Slick Rock and ride up
Rock, we did Slick Rock.
Did you ride up that Dragon's Back thing there where it's like you fall 300 feet on each side?
Probably.
Tail of the Dragon or whatever it's called.
Oh, I'm not sure.
No, that's something else. But
We did.
it's called the Dragon's Back.
We spent actually the way it panned out too. We got stuck in Moab a few days because I was waiting for a sprocket to come in. So
this is like 4x4 capital there. A lot of Jeeps and off-road vehicles.
Slick
and stuff.
Rock White Rim Trail was another one we did,
Yeah.
which is like 100 plus mile. It goes along the white rim of one of the canyons there, which you may have done that when you were out there, something like that. But Moab's like being on the moon or something. That's a whole different.
It is a trip for sure.
It's a cool
Slick Rock. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, what are your plans for 2022? Are you considering? Are they doing another 125?
I don't know what they're doing with that.
All-star
I thought
race?
they maybe would have done one this year. They didn't. I wouldn't have been able to do it, so I'm glad.
Yeah, so no one stole your championship. But
And yeah, next year, who knows?
do you still have a 125?
I don't now. No.
We might be able to help you out with that. Stay tuned. We got some stuff cooking in the
Yeah.
background I can't talk about yet,
Yeah.
but we might have a nice 125 for you to ride at the National.
Yeah, that would be good. That would entice me for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, because I saw that July 9th at Southwick. So
Hmm.
us moto guys, we know.
Yeah.
we know. Yeah, 22, whatever. I'm in the mode where I got my suspension company BA, so.
How does somebody get a hold of you if they want to have their suspension done? Your website.
Yeah, well, you could text me 860-337-1619. That's probably the best way directly to get to me. Instagram, it's at B_A_suspension. I think it is on Instagram, and I'm pretty low key, so I don't have a lot of ways to get.
How many years you been doing suspension? It's
Yeah,
over.
about suspension now, about 12 years or so.
Yeah, at one point you were part owner or co-owner of X Pro Racing, the
Yeah.
engine building and motocross shop that you had there for a while, and then you kind of gave that up and just did the suspension thing.
Yeah.
BA Racing.
Yeah.
And I guess Tim Slater ended up.
Tim's got that. Yeah, he's in the area.
Yeah.
I deal with those guys pretty much every day.
So if you want your suspension done or some advice on doing the transcontinental, is it Transamerican
Trail.
Transamerica Trail?
Yeah, get a hold of me because, if anyone's interested in doing it, there's definitely things I could think of. I'm not thinking of now, but there's a lot of little things that for sure going into it, advice that would help with that.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing your experience with us today. So, Billy, what's it like? We talk about life going by. I met you when you were 4 years old. You're 34. I'm certainly not getting any younger. I talk about how I feel like I'm in a time warp where life is going by really fast, and I come to the museum every day. We do travel a fair amount. But what was the time like on the trail?
Yeah. I mean, like we say, when you're anyone that's working or has a normal life, a lot of people don't want to do the trip or say they can't do the trip because it's about a month minimum you're going to have to commit if you want to do the Transamerica Trail. But that's a funny thing. Anyone that has a normal daily grind going, a week, boom, goes by, you look back, you're like, wow, that's gone. Over a month goes by, you don't think much of it. Year goes by, you're like, oh, another year. But when you experience, because I do a lot of traveling, that's kind of my obsession is venturing, traveling. Like that's one of my passions. So yeah, when we do this trip, you're so like locked in and you're in this different element that it actually, people say time flies when you're having fun, but it's not that true because it's different. So it slows it down for me. And the best way to put it is like a weekend, like we rode for a week and you kind of reflect on it. And I'm like, oh my God, like at this point, I'm like, it's only a week. Like we just went 3 states, all this stuff happened. That's not normal. If people call you at work, you answer emails, whatever it might be, it's all so normal. That's why time flies. It's like another email, another this,
Same
another
shit,
bill,
different
another
day.
that. But when you go do something totally different, I think it slows down time because now everything's so new, and then you reflect back on the week. I mean, like I was gone for 6 weeks total. I mean, I felt like I was gone for months, literally, like months. It just felt like when we looked back a few weeks into the beginning, I was like, oh my God, remember a few weeks ago we were way over there in Tennessee and all this stuff. So, I mean, people need to consider doing it, because time flies. The old saying, you only live once, and a month isn't that long when you really break it down. Everybody I think should be able to muster up a month, and if you got to plan a couple years out even to make it happen. If you're a motorcycle, off-road, like me, a motocross guy, like I don't do a lot of woods stuff. I don't even have my motorcycle license, cross country.
That's awesome.
So not a lot of street for me before this trip, but it's any motorcycle person I think would appreciate it because you literally, it's like the American dream in the sense of seeing your own country. Like it's the most raw way to see America, and it's so back country everywhere. I mean, we go like days and days without seeing Walmarts, right? I mean, how hard?
Or Dunkin' Donuts out there.
Yeah, yeah, all this stuff.
I'd be
like,
jonesing.
Yeah, it's just a little tiny, wherever you might live, but it'd be like if you're in Vermont or something, and you go in these little towns, and it's like nothing. You come in a little town, and that's it. You got like a couple little restaurants, a couple gas stations, and you're back out nowhere. It's like that's how this whole trip is. So you get to see. I mean, you just get to see so much, so many mountains, and nothing is repetitive. That's another thing. Probably a big takeaway for sure is the lack of repetitiveness in this trip. I mean, when you're in the Smoky Mountains, every turn, every mountain's different. And then you come out of the Smokies, and then you're in Tennessee, western Tennessee, northern mountains and areas you don't even realize, like northern, what is it over there? Next to Alabama, northern Alabama. There were some mountains up in that area.
Yep.
But every time it was like chapters in a book. Every time we'd like move on another day or so, and it was like nothing was repetitive. No mountain was the same. No desert was the same. Everything was so different, and that's the beauty, I think, of America, and that's worth. I think everybody. I always say everybody should see it. I mean, we live here in this country. If you live in this country, it's big. It's free to travel. If you're on a dual sport, really cheap, right? Gas, we're probably getting 50 plus miles a gallon on these bikes. I don't know, but it's not. I think we just talked about it. I think it was about maybe $3,000 ish that we spent on the trip, each of us. I mean, I can't speak for the other guys, but I would say, 2,500, $3,000.
A lot of that was eating out, right? Yep.
And I mean, we ate out way more than I'd like to be honest, because just with the way we were packed up and not having a cooler and different things, there would be a lot of times wake up and like, oh, we're gonna get in this little shitty town. Hey, an hour. We better get some coffee and some eggs there. $12 later. So obviously that all adds up. So yeah, the biggest cost was food, but overall pretty cheap. I mean, people go to Disney World for what? 4 days and spend $5,000
easily. Yeah,
give me a break. I mean, go across the whole country.
Yeah. And your XR400 was probably worth more when you got there than it was when you left, with the prices of used dirt bikes going up.
With gas prices going up, dirt bike price going up. Yeah, I gained value on it.
No doubt. What an investment, huh? Yeah. That's the best investment you ever made. Yeah, $2,000 on an XR400.
So yeah, if you're
watching
across
country,
this, get a hold of Ken, get a hold of me if you need to, but I could give advice, and just if you have any inkling of looking into it and thinking about it, it is the best experience. And like I said, it's to see our country. I think that's the coolest
maybe
thing.
Junior and I'll do a cross-country trip like we were talking about earlier. Maybe we'll do a vlog on that, and you can leave in the comments section, guys, if it's something you'd like to see, maybe some helmet cam footage on a cross country.
Ken, we want you to do the tap. We want to see you.
Yeah, it could be quite an adventure. Maybe meet some people, some of our viewers out there across the country, iron out a map and see who we can meet along the way, and make it an epic adventure, coast to coast. Start off by jumping in the ocean, finish up by jumping.
There's a lot of ways to do it too, Ken. We did it, I'd say pretty raw as far as camping and not having a lot of the things with us, but another guy, Dan Woodger, who's actually from Massachusetts, he is a moto guy and stuff, and he just happened to be doing it a month after us, so we kind of were BSing leading up to it, and he's in his probably 50s or whatever, so a little bit less in the mindset of us, of just tenting and whatnot. So him and a couple buddies, they actually he had a buddy drive his motorhome, Class A motorhome, and that was like their chase vehicle. So every night they slept in the motorhome. They had the trailer, they had tools, they had all the kitchen in the camper, that type of stuff. So not everyone has the means and has a motorhome and whatnot, but for sure that's a common way people do it if they have that as well. As you can kind of make it a little bit more comfortable if you're not super into just.
You could probably bring if you're a family man, you could bring the kids along. Maybe having a family trip. If
you got the right wife, you can say, "Hey, honey,
you mind driving the RV? The kids, I'll meet you in 200
You got
miles
even
west of
cooler
here.
wife, she'll go, no, I'm riding a bike too.
The babysitter's gonna have to drive.
Yeah.
Maybe get Grandpa to drive. That'd be a cool adventure.
But yeah, so you guys are watching now. Maybe you have already subscribed to Ken's channel, but you gotta like this video and leave comments for Ken to do the tat. Let's see how many. Let's see if we can push him into it.
That'd be pretty sick. And have Junior
Doesn't he
document it.
look like a guy that should be riding across the country for 4 weeks? I think so.
I ain't getting any younger, so I better pull the trigger pretty soon.
Yeah.
The bloom's getting off the rose here,
Yeah,
pushing 60.
Load them up with comments. Ken, do it. Trans-America Trail.
Yeah, maybe we can get some nice enduro bikes from one of the companies that we've been working with. 500s, huh? CR500s.
Legal one, I've seen it.
That'd be sick, right? The CR500 cross country.
Yeah.
That would be epic shit, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? That's a way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can old barn find 89 CR500, put a fresh top end on it, and send it. Big
tank,
giant gas tank, 5-gallon tank,
Yeah.
and a saddlebag. You're good to go. Well, we'll see.
That would be epic.
So when you guys pulled up at a gas station, which bike got the most attention? The fancy CRF 250 with the graphics and the tenure and all that, or what was it?
99 XR400. No one could give a shit about all the 2021s. Yeah.
That's funny.
The XR400 was the hit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it made it there no problem. Looks like and it's ready for its next phase of adventure. I surely hope you get a helmet cam or a GoPro or something and share some of your adventure with us here.
Yeah, and actually, while we were back up here, so on Instagram, I think it's the account is Enjoy the Ride Brand, and it might be Enjoy the Ride _brand. But one of my buddies made that account, and you can go on there, and he did post quite a few pictures and videos and
I'll have to
of
check
the
it
whole
out.
group. Yeah, so
Any words of wisdom for those out there who may be sitting on the fence about doing the journey?
you're gonna regret not doing it. I can tell you that much. If you don't do it, so get
Awesome.
out there.
Well, I'd like to say you're going to be dead a long time, so you might as well enjoy the ride.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
touched on that earlier, so
Plenty of time to be dead.
yeah. We only need 4 weeks to do this cross-country epic adventure and hopefully share it with the world. Again, Billy, thanks again for coming down and sharing everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, God bless America. Hey, before we sign off, looks like Billy found his next ride for his cross-country adventure.
I wanted to bring the dog next time, so Ken hooked us up. Do some tires this week, and we're gonna go, huh, Gran?
This would probably make it cross-country, too. You can't beat these old Indians. She looks pretty comfy in there, too. You have more room for food and saddlebags and luggage and all kinds of stuff in there. A bigger tent.
Yeah, Gran, you could sleep.
That'd be like a condo compared to your XR400, huh? Windshield and everything. You like that? And you got your lucky fraud.
Let's do it.
You shook on it. It's a deal. You got to take her.
Deal.
Looks like she's game for the adventure. I'm sure she'd love it. You'd have some stories to tell, wouldn't you? Yeah, she would.